So a full class today. I'm here with Nicole and Janice. Nicole's going to modify. And again, with arm balances, just always know that it doesn't matter if you get all the way into the final pose today. That's not the point whatsoever. The point is just to try and to have fun. And you know I'm about laughing, so we'll definitely laugh during this, I hope, unless I fail miserably at telling jokes today. All right, so you're going to start lying down on your back. And once you lie down, you can either start in Shavasana with your legs a little wider than you usually set them up for Shavasana, or you can do Supta Baddha Konasana, soles of your feet together and knees apart. Both of them are externally rotated, and that's really all you're looking for here. So if you choose Supta Baddha like Nicole has, and it bothers your inner thighs or your lower back, just start like Janice's in Shavasana. It's easier. And then just move your attention away from whatever is outside of your body and off of your mat, and bring it into how your body feels. And you're just making notes. You start kind of at the feet and work up through your head, or vice versa, and just notice how you feel. And again, if it comes back, I'm tired, that's fine. If it comes back, I feel amazing, that's fine. You're just checking. You're constantly observing, and you do that so you can make really good decisions about what you do today in the sequence. So if you need breaks, you take them. If you don't, you don't. And it's not the same day in and day out. So what you did yesterday, even if you downloaded and did this sequence yesterday, what you do today might be completely different. And if you're being present, you'll know what the good decisions are. And then start to pay attention to your breathing, in through your nose and out through your nose. And begin to explore the base of your exhale. So between the inhale and the exhale, at the very bottom of the breath, there's this little bit of a drawback of your belly that happens down towards your spine, or it'll feel like down towards the mat here. I want you to see if you can continue with that. It'll be this little pause, the belly will draw back, and see if you can hold that little bit of lower belly activation as you continue into your next inhale. And then you're trying to make both sections of the breath even and really long. And you do that so you can go slowly through the sequence and build strength. When you go quickly, you don't build a tremendous amount of strength, which means the arm balance, like we're going to do at the end, is a little more inaccessible for longer, if ever. And I like to open with 3 breaths. So take a big inhale through your nose. Don't cough, Janice. All the way up into your chest. And then open your mouth, exhale, and let it go. Just gonna cough. And at the very bottom, draw your belly back, and then see if you can hold that as you inhale again. Expand up into your collarbones so they widen, and then open your mouth, exhale. As you let the breath out, pay attention to the very bottom. If you let go of the belly, draw it back and up again, and then go back one more time. Inhale through your nose, expand your chest, so there's belly drawing in, but chest wide, hold, and then open your mouth and out through your mouth again. And then go back to in and out through your nose. And if you practice Ujjayi, you can add that here, just that narrowing in the base of your throat that makes your breath audible. And then blink your eyes open, hug your knees into your chest, grab the edges of your feet, and set your legs up into happy baby. Right, so have your knees just as wide as the edges of your rib cage, and then stack your feet directly over top of your knees. And your toes will be turned out a little bit towards the sides of your mat. Not a tremendous amount though. Try to internally rotate just a little bit so you minimize that. And then pay attention to the lower portion of your abdomen again. Drag your lower belly, just the very bottom of it, back and down, so that you'll feel a little bit of a sense of the lower back pressing into the mat, but then widen across your collarbones by pulling your shoulders down towards the floor and letting the mat between your shoulder blades press that part of your spine up into your body. And you're going to go slowly, not crazy here at the beginning. You're going to begin to straighten your right leg out a little bit. You'll send it at a 45-degree angle towards the right corner of your mat. If it goes all the way straight, fine. If it doesn't, just leave it where it is, but your spine shouldn't have changed shape at all. Right? So the right leg that you're straightening, the inner thigh of that leg is going to roll up to the ceiling slightly. And then the left leg, see if you can pull the knee a little further down towards your outer shoulder, and then pull the left heel down towards your sit bone. So bend your left knee more, Nicole, and bring the left heel towards your left sit bone. Ah, good. And then let your inner left knee and your outer left arm hug together. You know, I love things supine, so here you go. This is where we're going. Right, and then go back into regular happy baby with both legs bent. And then knees just a little wider than the edges of your rib cage. If you know this arm balance, you know that your legs are going to end up behind your arms, so your knees don't need to be that wide. And then do the other leg. Start to straighten your left leg out. And as you do, you're going to roll that inner thigh up to the ceiling, a little low belly. There's a little bit of your sit bones hugging together, but collarbones stay wide. And then pull your right knee down towards your outer shoulder a little further if you can. And then pull your left heel down towards your left sit bone. Good. And then once you have that, you'll hug the inner right knee and your outer right arm together somewhat, just to get the sense of those two things pinning. Good. And then bend both knees again, go back into happy baby. And then you're going to hug your knees in, rock yourself all the way up to seated, and you're going to come into malasana at the front of your mat, so a squat. So feet will be just wider than your hips, and your toes will turn out slightly. And then look at your toes where they're facing, have them the same direction as your knees, and then bring your hands together in front of your heart. Right, so if you're a little bit tighter in this pose, it could just be your Achilles tendons are a little short, which is not a big deal. You can roll your mat up, put it under your heels. You can sit on a block as well. And then once you have this shape, that same thing you were just doing on your back, draw the lower belly in and up just a tiny bit and hug your outer arms and your inner knees together as you widen your collarbones. And the knees won't move any wider. You're just holding them in position as you press your arms and knees together. Good. And then from here, do a little bit more drawing the belly back. See if you can get the outer upper shoulder to touch the inner knee, and you'll have to round your upper back a drop to do that. But then again, press your arms into your knees so your collarbones stay as wide as they were. Good. And then bring your hands down to the mat. Fold yourself forward, turn your toes in, but keep your feet really wide, so wider than hips distance like they just were, and then grab your elbows. Now put a good size bend into your knees until the sides of your ribs touch your inner thighs. And that might be a huge bend. It might be almost all the way to a squat. That's okay. And then once you have that, look at where your knees and toes are headed. Send them in the same direction, straight ahead to the front of your mat, so your heels are behind your second toe. And then you'll leave all of that, and you can hug your thighs together without letting your knees buckle in, and start to straighten your legs by lifting up through your thighs, pulling your kneecaps up towards the crease of your hips. And then press your upper back in towards your inner thighs so that you get that same thing you were doing on your back when you were letting the mat press your upper back in. All right, hanging is complete. Here we go. We're going to get moving. Hands down to the mat and step yourself back into downward facing dog. So once you're in down dog, you just come into it. If you need to pedal your feet back and forth, you can bend one leg, straighten the other, and then do vice versa. Or you can hold really still. It just really depends on what you need today. So if it feels like a day where being still is going to help ground you and quiet you, do that. And it feels like your hamstrings are tight, pedal your feet. And then spread your fingers wide. Press your hands down really evenly. Let that continue and roll your inner arms to the ceiling until you widen the base of your neck and your shoulder blades as much as you can. And then hug your arms together at the same time. Now press the crease of your hips back. It's that same effort you just did in the forward fold. Kneecaps up, lift them to the crease of your hips, and then look at your knees and your second toe. Place them in one line so that your heels are behind your second and third toe. Good. Inhale, shift yourself forward to plank, bring your shoulders over your wrists. What was that with the bent elbows there? That was fancy schmancy. Press your hands down again, evenly, same thing. Now roll your inner arms to the front of the mat so that your collarbones widen out. And you'll feel your hips kind of sink down. Now do that low belly thing we were working. Draw the low belly in. You'll feel your pubic bone lift towards your navel or your tailbone curl under you slightly. And if you keep your knees really, really straight, you can't overdo that as long as you keep your collarbones widening. Right, now shift forward, pull your shoulders beyond your wrists a little bit, and exhale halfway into chaturanga. Good. Inhale, push yourself straight up into plank pose, and exhale, pull your hips back into downward facing dog. We're just going to warm up on the breath with that. Inhale, shift forward to plank. You can always drop your knees if you'd like. Exhale, halfway down, hands planted, elbows in. Good. Inhale, press the front body to the ceiling, and exhale, push back into down dog. Do that again. Inhale, pull forward. As you lower, imagine the floor pressing your front body up so you stay light. Then inhale, push up. Exhale, pull back, and do 2 more on your breath. And if you don't need them, you're just going to stay in down dog. So again, you're always just observing what you need today. Good. Make sure your neck stays long, so you're looking forward to the front of your mat. Good. And then once you're in down dog, just pause there for a moment. And then bring your feet all the way together. Walk your hands all the way back to meet your feet. Leave your big toes touching. You could let your heels lift this time and squat all the way down at the back of your mat. Okay, so once you're here, you keep your feet together, but separate your knees wide enough to touch your outer shoulders. And then round your back a lot. Round it until your outer shoulder hits your inner knee, and bring your forearms down to the floor or your palms down to the floor. Whichever one, but keep them shoulder distance apart, and then you can relax your neck. Right? And then we're not going to go to full malasana here. This is pretty close. It's good enough. You're going to keep squeezing your knees and your outer shoulders together. Drag your low belly in. Get the tailbone to curl under a little bit more. And then you'll feel, and you can see both of their collarbones are a little collapsed, so widen your collarbones just a little bit so your neck lengthens. Good, you two. All right, and then press into your feet. Straighten your legs, fold forward, heel toe your feet to hip distance apart. Bring your hands to your hips, and with a flat back, inhale yourself up to standing. All right, walk all the way up to the front of your mat. Bring your feet together. It wouldn't be the same without some sun salutes in my world, so here we go. Inhale, reach your arms up alongside your ears. Keep your elbows straight. Exhale, fold forward at your hips. Keep your spine long as you fold down. Inhale, widen your collarbones, look forward, keep your shoulders where they are, plant your hands, and exhale, step into plank. Once you're there, take an extra inhale, and then exhale, lower yourself halfway into chaturanga. Okay, once you're in chaturanga, keep breathing. Flip your toes first, keep your elbows bent, and think about pushing your upper back in and through as you straighten your arms into upward facing dog. Good, hands pressing down. Take the upper back into the chest, and then your chest up to your chin as you reach your toes and your tailbone as far away from you as you can. And then on your next exhale, press up and over your toes with straight legs into down dog. Good. Let your neck relax. So there's a tendency to hold tension in your neck, even if you have the right shoulder alignment. I do it all the time where it just feels like I'm gripping my neck. So think about the crown of your head pulling towards your thumbs as you press your hips away from that point. And then look forward, bend your knees, hop or step your feet all the way in between your hands. Inhale, chest wide. Exhale, fold at your hips. Inhale, come up to standing and bring your arms alongside your ears. And exhale, join your hands at your heart. Right, on the breath this time, Surya Namaskar A. Inhale, reach your arms up. Exhale, Uttanasana, fold forward and down. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana, look forward, chest wide. Exhale, walk, or this time you can hop, chaturanga if you're going to hop. Inhale, one breath, back bend, open your chest wide. And then exhale, keep that sense of your upper back pressing in and press into down dog. Right, now just hold still. Hold your gaze steady. Hold your body still. And find your breath. Let that be the moving part. And then see if you can hold your attention on some part of your body or on your breath so that everything is as steady as possible. And you'll hold that every time you're here, and then you're going to add a little bit of movement to move through the rest of the sun salute. So try to hold steady breath, your mind on your body, and look forward, bend your knees, walk or hop your feet between your hands. Inhale, widen. Exhale, fold at your hips. Inhale, come all the way up to standing, bring your arms up again. Good. And then exhale, join your hands together. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, fold forward. I'm not used to being able to do 5 of these in here. Inhale, look forward, chest up. Exhale, lightly through vinyasa. Good. In my real class, these are totally real. In my daily public classes, there's always 5 A's and B's. So whenever I have to do less, I have like a little bit of a palpitation. I like routine. I feel very comforted today. Right, look forward, bend your knees, hop or step your feet up. Inhale, chest wide. Exhale, hinge and fold back down. Inhale, come up to standing. And exhale, hands to your heart. Last two. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, chaturanga. Janice is going slower. Inhale, back bend. Exhale, press back into downward facing dog. All right, once you're in this down dog, take 3 breaths. And then when you're done with your 3 breaths, you'll look forward, finish this one out, and take one more sun salutation, A, and end up back in downward facing dog. I'm going to let them do it, and I'm going to be quiet. Good. So just move on your own. I said I would be quiet, and I can't be. So move on your own breath here. As long as each inhale and exhale take, let that mirror how long it takes you to accomplish each one of the poses. Good. And then once you get to down dog, just hold there. Do that same thing. You've been moving your body, your breath has been moving, and you've been thinking about your alignment. Now you get to hold at least one of those things still, which is your body. Just be in down dog and try to hold as still as you can. All right, walk your hands all the way back to meet your feet once you're here. Bring your hands to your hips, and on an inhale with a flat back, stand yourself all the way up. Okay, join your feet all the way together. You put your left hand on your, well, you'll just do both hands on your hips, frankly. Pick your right foot up and bring it to tree pose. Okay. So once you have it to your inner thigh, bring your hands back to your hips, and then square your hips with the front of your mat to start with. Press your foot and your inner thigh together, and then just notice where your hands are in relation to the floor. If it feels like your right hand is higher away from the floor, I want you to drop your right hip down until it's in line with your left. And that might make your left hip jut out a little bit, so firm that in. And then hold all of that. Do that little bit of low belly you've been working, but then chest wide and lift it again. And now reach your arms up alongside your ears. Good. Wrap your outer arms forward. Overwrap them way more than you think you should. Your palms might even start to turn back. And then once you have that, you can reach your arms up like crazy from your side body without your neck becoming impinged or it feeling like it's getting squished. And then if your balance is great today, fine, look up. If it's not, keep your gaze forward. And then you'll start, if you look up, to bring your palms closer and closer together. And if they touch with your arms straight, then let them touch. If they don't, keep them where they are. Good. And then bring your hands back down to your hips. Leave your left hand on your hip. With your right hand, grab your right knee. Good. And then let your foot come away from your inner thigh so that it's dangling below your right knee. Good. Make sure your hips are still square to the front and level from left to right. Right, now, a little different than usual. Start flexing at your right hip crease to try to bring the knee as close to your right shoulder as you can get. And once you have that, the right hip may have hiked up. I want you to fold at the right hip crease, keep the sides of your torso even, and see how high you can get the knee. Good. Right? And then leave the leg like that, but bring your right heel towards your right sit bone like you were doing crow pose on the right side. Excellent. And then let go of that and come back to feet together, Tadasana, hands on your hips at the back of your mat. We'll do the second side. Right? So pick your left foot up, bring it to tree pose. And then how high you bring it up the leg really depends on how level you can keep your hips from left to right. Right? So if you need to lower the foot to do that, do. And then square your hip points to the front of your mat. Drag your lower belly back. It might round you a little bit too much, so then re-widen your collarbones and lift them up. And then reach your arms up alongside your ears. Wrap the outer arms forward. Wrap them way, way, way more than you want to, and then reach them way up, and you'll just feel your entire rib cage evenly lift off your hips. And if you're doing the look up thing, do it from your upper back, not just your neck. And if you're doing the palms touch thing, do that only if you can keep the elbows straight. Good. Okay, and then look forward again. Bring your hands to your hips. With your left hand, grab your left knee. Dangle the foot underneath your left knee and flex your ankle. Right, now it's hard work. You're just working the hip flexor, so start to fold at your left hip crease, bringing the knee closer and closer and closer to the shoulder. Here you have your hand to help you. In a second, you're not going to have your hand. Good. Right? And then leave the knee like that. Just bring the heel towards the sit bone, and you can make a Barbie foot like they are because it's pretty, and that's where you're going later. Good. All right, and then lower that back down. Feet hip distance apart this time. Hands to your hips. Inhale, lift your chest up. And then exhale, fold yourself forward. Hands to the mat. Inhale, pull your chest through your arms. And exhale, walk out into downward facing dog. All right. Now, bring your feet all the way together. Inhale, glide forward into the plank pose. Do that same plank we did at the very, very beginning. Right, so from crown of the head to the heels, you should feel like one straight line. There's a good amount of resistance of your abdomen and your thighs and shins to the ceiling. Right, now, you're going to start to intentionally draw the low belly in a little bit more than you think you should, and pick your right foot up. Keep widening your collarbones. Now draw your belly in way more. Turn your right toes to the side a little bit. Your knee is not going to hit your shoulder. You're going to do exactly what you did at the back of the mat, and on an exhale, bring the knee towards the back of your right arm. The hip's going to want to hike up towards your right shoulder. Keep pressing the hip crease back to fold there. Good. Right? And then leave all of that, but bring your knee to your nose. Flex at the hip crease. Keep your collarbones wide. Look forward, step your foot through to your hands, spin your back heel flat, line up heel to arch, keep your hips squeezed in and cartwheel open into warrior two. Right, if you think you're gonna need a block for side angle, set the block up to your outer right foot here to start with. Okay, then bring your hands back down to your hips, just for a second, and straighten your back leg all the way out like you were doing at the back of your mat. You know I love a good theme. Okay, so level your hips out from left to right, meaning drop the left hip point a little towards your right heel until you're level that way, and then look at your right hip and your right knee, send them ahead over your second and third toe, and they should all be facing the front of your mat, right? And then leave your hips like that, square your chest to the side of your mat and reach your arms out. Okay, so right now there's no fold in your right hip crease except for just bringing your thigh to parallel with the floor. There's like a 90-degree fold, but you're not tilted into it, it's just a bend. And then you're going to do a little bit of a different action in a second. So first, a little bit of low belly in and up, then re-widen the collarbones. Reach your arms wide apart like you were trying to touch the front and back of the room. And then hold your eyes still. You can put them on your right fingertips. You can put them on something over your right fingertips. And it's not easy to hold your body and your gaze still here. It means you have to pay attention to what your alignment's doing. You have to pay attention to what your mind is telling you about your body and whether it can stay here. It can do a lot more than your mind tells you it can. So just pay attention to that. See if you can follow the breath instead of your mind telling you what you should or shouldn't do in terms of kind of length of time you can be here. Bend one more inch. Hold everything else as it is. You're bending into the knee, keeping the weight in the heel. Good. All right. Now, just like you just did at the back of your mat, start, don't put the hand anywhere, to hinge at your right hip crease. Tilt your pelvis. Try to fold the right hip crease as far as you can. Reach and try to touch whatever's in front of your mat, and then put your right hand to the outside of your foot and take your top arm up. If you need to shorten the stance because you've lost your back leg, shorten it up a little. Good. Okay, and then track the outer edge of the back foot down, knees straight like you were doing in tree pose. And then you have your right arm right under your shoulder, and you can nudge the knee into it a little bit as a guide. The hip goes under your body as you do that. And then turn your top palm, rotate it from your shoulder joint, and take it alongside your ear. And then today, go in for a full 90-degree bend in the front knee. So start to bend into that knee. Janice, now you're too short. Good. And you can do it by folding at your hip crease as well as at your knee joint. And then a little bit of low belly, and that same upper back into your chest. Good. Right? Take your top arm straight back up. Now you're going to undo that work and inhale, come back up into warrior two. Pick your right hip point up off your thigh bone as you come up. And then exhale, bring your hands down to the mat and take yourself through a vinyasa to down dog. And you can always skip the vinyasas and just go straight into down dog as well. Good. All right. Side numero deux. Bring your feet all the way together. Come forward into plank pose. All right, so once you're in plank, you're going to keep your collarbones wide the whole time. Start by pulling your belly in a little bit more than you want to. Then pick your left foot up, hold it up off of the mat, turn your toes out to the side a little. Side body's going to stay even. Pull your left knee towards the back of your left arm. It will not touch unless you have incredibly long thigh bones. That's all right. Leave it there. Good. Keep drawing the tailbone back towards your right heel. Keep flexing at the hip crease to pull the knee closer and closer to the arm. And then instead of rounding your whole back, drag your belly in more, bring your knee to your chest. Good. Look forward if you're not already and step your foot through. It's over. All right, spin your back. There'll be more though. Spin your back heel flat, line up heel to arch, and cartwheel open into warrior two again. And then bring your hands back down to your hips. All right, so start by getting the back leg straight, the toes turned in enough that it's easy to rotate the left hip. And then level from left to right. So drop your right sit bone towards your left heel until that happens. Then hip, knee, second toe, all facing dead ahead, heel behind your second toe. And then leave all of that, reach your arms to the side and square your collarbones off. Right? And then you do enough lower belly so that your tailbone just lengthens under you. You are way overdoing that. Good. Right? And then she was way overdoing the tailbone thing. So you only pull your belly in just a little bit. Then you re-widen and lift the collarbones up. You've got some wacky stuff happening here today. Push this straight. There we go. Good. Right, and then steady eyes, steady breath. Good. Right, and then there's a desire to let the bend, when I say bend a little further, come from the hip joint. Let it come from your knee. Keep the heel pressing down. Right, now the back leg, keep the traction there. You're going to start to fold at your left hip like you just did in knee to tricep. Fold, fold, fold. Reach, reach, reach. Keep the chest open. When you can't fold anymore, the hand is going to go down, the top arm goes up. And then once you have that, if you've arced your spine, essentially then it's the same thing as kind of crunching your side body to get your knee to your tricep. And then turn your top palm. Take that over. So if that's happened, put a block under your hand so that you're in one long, nice line with your spine. Good. Right? And there's a little extra low belly here. And once you have that, though, keep pressing the right thigh bone back, and then turn your chest open and press your upper back into your chest. Good. Now you have to think about your outer right hip on the way up to get the hip point of your left leg to lift up. So take your top arm up, look down. On an inhale, bring your torso and your pelvis back up to vertical. Good. And then exhale, cartwheel your hands down to the mat and take yourself through a vinyasa to downward facing dog. Good. All right, so similar thing here. So bring your feet all the way together. And this time we're going to do something a little different. So inhale, come forward to plank pose. Same thing here. You're going to pick your right foot up. Low belly is going to come in. On an exhale, turn the toes out and bring your knee to the back of your arm like you did before without shortening the side of your waist. Okay, now, to get the knee to actually come to the shoulder, you're going to have to start to round your back. So drag your belly in, round your upper back, and get the knee a little closer. And now you're really doing it from the hip flexor and from your abdomen rather than doing it by just shortening the side of your torso, which you're going to need in a second. And then leave your right knee where it is, but bring your right foot just towards the midline like you're doing a half crow pose on the right side. Good. Right, push the floor down. Keep your collarbones a little wide so you can look forward, but really round out the rest of your spine as much as possible. Right, now bring your knee to your nose. Step the foot through to your hands. Spin your back heel flat at an angle. Line up heel to arch again. Now this time bring your right hand to the inside of your foot. Right, and then turn your chest open to the left and reach your left arm up for side angle again. Right, now you're going to kind of undo that little bit of crunching. There's a little bit of belly work. More upper back work to keep your spine long and even. But now you're looking, push the knee and the arm together on the right side just so that you have that same connection you were doing in knee to tricep a second ago. You're just going to leave your top arm up today, nothing fancy schmancy. You can do it a little more. Bring your knee a little wider and your hip under. This arm up. Ah, gorgeous. All right. And then look down, and on an inhale, come up to warrior two. And then exhale, bring your hands down to the mat and take yourself through a vinyasa to down dog. Right, so nothing fancy on this side, just one pose. Well, it's fancy. The knee to tricep thing is hard. Let's be honest here. She said yes. All right, feet together, side two. Come forward to plank pose. And once you're in plank, pick your left foot up, turn the toes out. First, start by just flexing at the hip crease. Bring the knee as close to the arm as you can get without rounding, without shortening the sides of your body. Right, you're just drawing the low belly in. Now start to draw the entire abdomen in. Get the knee to come all the way to the outer arm without shortening your left side. Good. And then leave your knee there, but bring your foot towards the center line so you're doing the pose on the left side. Good. And then bring your knee to your nose, really round it. Step your foot through to your hands. Spin your back heel flat. That was a big exhale from Janice. Heel to arch, right hand to the inside. Turn yourself open and reach your right arm up. Good. Okay, so you use your left shoulder to nudge your knee open until it's over your ankle, and then your hip under, so the 3 points are in one line like warrior two. And then low belly's gonna come in, upper back into your chest, and you're just gonna leave this like this and play with hugging the knee and the arm together, just so you feel the inner thigh start to work. Good. You need those inner thighs in a while. Good. And then look down. Inhale, bring yourself up into warrior two for a breath. And exhale, hands down to the mat, and with or without a vinyasa, end up in down dog. You can skip them at any point. I know I always say that, and none of my students ever do, but you could, and I would be totally happy with it. All right, well, we might as well put some of this together to start with. So walk your hands back until they meet your feet. Slide your feet all the way together. And then once you have that, squat yourself down. Keep your big toes touching. Separate your knees wide enough to come to your outer shoulders. Right? And then today you're going to set up crow pose just a little bit differently than you might usually. Right, so hug your knees and your outer shoulders together and drag your low belly in. Right, now, let your elbows splay to the side and bring your hands back as far towards your pinky toes as you can, shoulder distance apart. Right, now, lift your tush up just enough to hug your elbows in like chaturanga and shift forward like chaturanga. Good. Now see if you can keep the tush really low and lift up into crow pose. Right, hug the knees and the arms together. Low belly in so your tailbone starts to drop. Now see if you can keep doing that and then keep pressing the floor away from you so maybe your elbows straighten out a little more. And then make sure your neck is still long. Much better, Janice. Janice had lost her neck for a second. Right? And then set your feet back down on the mat. Straighten your legs out, feet hip distance. Inhale, pull your chest forward and look up. And then exhale, walk forward into downward facing dog. Right, so if you're newer at crow pose, we're going to do it again at the front of the mat, and you're just going to work on that for a few breaths. If you're working on shooting it back, you already know how. We're going to add that. So look forward, see your hands, step or hop your feet up to meet them, and then squat yourself all the way down. Right, so big toes touching. So there's this desire to kind of get the butt really high and then shift forward, but it doesn't aid us in where we're going later. So you want to stay really low. So round your back, get your knees on your outer arms, bring your hands back as far as you can, let the elbows bow out. They're not going to do any harm here. Right, now lift your butt just enough to get the elbows to hug in. Round your back more, Janice. Good, and then shift forward until your forearms are perpendicular over your wrists and draw the heels up. If you're newer at it, you're going to stay. Otherwise, really push the floor down. Think about doming your upper back to the ceiling like an umbrella in a big storm, and then start to undo that. Start to pull your collarbones wide through your arms as you bend your elbows like you were going to chaturanga. Draw your low belly in for support, and now just think straighten the legs as you send them back into chaturanga. Good. Inhale into up dog, and exhale into down dog. If you were working at the front of your mat, you can take a vinyasa or just step back into down dog at this point. All right, that's half of what we were doing. So look forward. You've got one leg done. Step or hop your feet up to meet your hands. Inhale, chest wide. Exhale, fold forward. Bend your knees, drop your hips, and inhale into chair pose with your arms overhead. Good. And then exhale, press up and stand, and bring your hands to your heart. Right, be at the front of your mat if you're not there already. Join your bing toes together. Bing toes. Big toes. Right, and then we're going to do sun salutation B, and we're just going to do them for heat and for just because in my world I said there's 5 and 5. So here we go. Inhale, bend your knees, sit back, chair pose. Good. Exhale, fold forward, straighten your legs out. Inhale, chest wide, look up. And exhale, take a vinyasa back to downward facing dog. Good. And then step your right foot up between your hands, spin your back heel flat at an angle. Take an inhale to come all the way up to warrior one with a very straight back leg. And then exhale, hands down to the mat. With or without a vinyasa, end up back in downward facing dog. Good. And then once you're there, left side, lift up your left foot through, spin your right heel flat. Inhale up. You can think that low belly lifts so the hip points rise even here. And then exhale, hands down, step back, take it through. Right, very slow exhale into chaturanga. Big inhale into up dog. And then exhale, pull it back. And then 5 breaths. Again, this is your place to get still and to check in every time you arrive here. And you're doing that so you know if it's appropriate to keep doing the sun salutations. So if you need a break, child's pose, or you can keep going. So we'll look forward, step or hop lightly between your hands. Inhale, chest up. Exhale, fold from your hips. Inhale, bend your knees, sink back with your arms up for chair. And exhale, push up, stand, hands to your heart. Good. Again, sun salutation B. Inhale, sit back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, through a vinyasa to down dog. Good. And then right foot with lots of control. Use your belly and the hip flexor to glide it forward. Inhale, warrior one. And then use your breath, the length of it, to come back through the vinyasa into down dog. And once you're there, left side, glide it forward and inhale, rise up. Good. And then take a vinyasa and back to down dog again. 5 more breaths, body still, eyes still. That's the hardest part. Mine jump all over the place. And then the breath is moving. And then your mind is moving. And it's perpetually trying to do other things when you hold your body really still. It wants to think about all sorts of stuff. So find something in your alignment or your breath to occupy your mind so it's as still as possible too. Okay, look forward, hop or step. Inhale, chest up and wide. Exhale, Uttanasana fold. Inhale, bend your knees, sink back, arms up. And exhale, stand and bring your hands together. Right? Inhale, bend your knees, sit back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, lightly, chaturanga. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. Right foot forward, back heel down. Inhale to the top. Exhale, hands to the mat, step back, slowly lower. Inhale, lift. Exhale, push up and back. And then left side, bring it forward. Inhale, rise up. And exhale, let it go on your own breath, like we did in the A's. Good. And then once you're in down dog again, you're going to get still and do a couple less breaths here. And look forward, finish it out, step or hop. Inhale, widen. Exhale, crown of the head, reach it down. Inhale, sit back, lift your sternum up. And exhale, rise to stand, hands to your heart. Now this time, just on the breath, you know the poses are ready, so just think about the inhale versus exhale. So inhale, long exhale. Inhale, exhale. Good. Linger, inhale, and exhale, push back. And once you're there, right foot forward, back heel down, big breath up to the top. And then slowly exhale, take it through. Try to make that breath really last through chaturanga, and then link it to a long inhale. Exhale, push back. Left side when you're ready. Step it forward. Inhale, bring it up. And then exhale, hands down, step back, slowly lower. Good. Inhale, lift and widen. Exhale, push yourself back. And once you're in down dog, you have the choice. You can take child's pose here if you need a break. You can do one more, and if you do, I'm going to lead you through it. But if you want to take child's pose at this point, you can drop your knees down. Janice is going to take child's pose and rest. Right, so if you're going to finish this, look forward, step or hop, and have Nicole do it. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, Uttanasana. Inhale, bend your knees, sink your hips. And exhale, push up and stand, hands to your heart. Last time, inhale, sit back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, vinyasa. Good. She's on her own stage here. Okay, right side, warrior one, foot forward, heel down, inhale. And exhale, hands down, take it through, and then the left side on your own and end up in downward facing dog again. Good. So pretty. All right. And then when you're in your final downward facing dog, drop into child's pose. Go back into it, Janice. I'll give you a second. All right, so take a few breaths in through your nose, out through your nose. When you do 5As and 5Bs, especially 5Bs like that after all the external standing poses we did, your breath can get a little quick. You can feel a little fatigued. So you stay in child's pose. If you don't feel like that and you need a little more, you can stay in down dog the whole time too. It's completely fine. Just make sure your alignment is still very steady and well done, and that you can move your breath and you have enough energy to continue, because you know there's going to be more. We're not done yet. All right, and then reach your arms forward if they're not there already. Press back into downward facing dog. And then you're going to walk your hands back until they meet your feet. Have your feet just a little wider than your hips again. Bend your knees enough to get your chest to touch your inner thighs. Wrap your arms around your calves. If you have unusually long arms, you might be able to loop them through and take your shins, but otherwise, you can just hug them like the ladies are doing. Keep your chest touching your thighs, your sit bones squeezing together, and start to straighten your legs, making sure your knees and second toe stay facing straight ahead and the heels are behind them. And then relax your neck. You can nod yes or no. It's a lot of chaturangas and knee to nose, and there's still more to come. So let your breath lengthen out. Let your head feel like it has a giant weight hanging from it. I always picture those like Acme anvil things in Bugs Bunny, Looney Tunes, attached to my head. It's a very bizarre thing to think. All right, then inhale, pull your chest forward, look up. And exhale, walk all the way out into downward facing dog. All right, from downward facing dog, step your right foot forward to meet your hands. Spin your back heel flat at an angle. Walk yourself a quarter turn to your left, straighten both of your legs, and turn your toes to face the side of the mat. Right, bring your hands to your hips, and inhale, bring yourself up to standing. All right, now from here, keep your feet parallel with one another. Inhale, lift your chest up. Exhale, fold forward. Put your hands underneath your shoulders. Inhale, pull your sternum wide through your arms. And then exhale, fold forward at your hips and walk your hands back any amount until they maybe look like chaturanga. But you're really looking for a full fold at your hip crease here with a nice long spine. So if that means being really high today on your fingertips or blocks, do that. And then lift up through your kneecaps. Press your feet down evenly as you do that. Push your upper back into your chest, like I had my hand there, like the wall next to you or the floor from earlier was pressing that part of your spine in. And then the same muscles you were using to pull your knee to the outer arm, you're going to use them here to fold your pelvis forward towards your thigh bones. And then your shoulders are nowhere near your inner thighs, but I want you to pretend in your mind that they are and hug your inner thighs together like a crow pose. Right, now inhale, pull your chest forward, look up. Exhale, bring your hands to your hips. And inhale, stand yourself all the way up. Okay, little different thing today. So turn your heels in a little and your toes out. Okay, and then have your legs really wide apart. We're not doing horse, we're doing something different. All right, with your hands on your hips, inhale, lift your chest up again. And then exhale, just fold yourself down halfway. Put your hands underneath your shoulders. And now you're here, your chest is square to the side of the mat, you're facing straight ahead. You're gonna hold all of that. Hold your left leg as it is. Start to bend your right knee, sending the knee over the second and third toe. And you'll have to engage your glute muscle to do that. Now, the desire is to do what Janice is doing and walk your torso towards your inner thigh. Keep your torso straight ahead for a few breaths. Just start to bend further and further into the knee, keeping the weight in your heel. And you'll just get a little stretch in the inner thigh. That's kind of really all you're looking for here. We're going to change it in a second. Okay, if this is a big stretch, you are welcome to stay here. You don't want to injure your knee or your lower back to do this. So stay here if this is enough. Otherwise, you're going to roll your inner left thigh up to the ceiling until your toes face straight up. It's pretty much what you were doing on your back at the beginning. Then you'll drop your sit bones down without letting them hit the floor. Make sure your right heel is still on the floor and your right knee is facing the same direction as your toes. And then you could drop further and further. Nicole's going to stay here. Janice has her tush all the way down, and she's going to lean forward with her torso a little bit, draw her lower belly in, keep the collarbones wide, and just bring your hands to prayer and hug your knee and shoulder together as you lift your sternum up, right? This is sort of the pose you're going towards, except the leg's going to be in a different place. Good. I'm getting there as many ways as I can. All right, now bring your hands back down to the mat. Straighten your right leg out, turn your toes in so your feet are parallel once you end up there. And you're gonna walk yourself a quarter turn to the right and end up in a high lunge at the front of your mat. And now once you're here, you're gonna move your right foot to the right just enough to get your right arm to your inner knee, but the knee is gonna stay facing straight ahead. All right, now set your arms up like plank pose arms. Have your back leg like a plank pose leg, so really press it straight, draw the low belly in. Now start to squeeze your knee and your outer arm together, and then all you're gonna do is try to get the right foot up off of the mat and into knee to tricep again. Good. Oh, very nice. All right, now that you're here, on an exhale, lower your knee towards your right wrist a few inches. And then inhale, bring the knee back up by drawing the belly in and rounding your spine. Exhale, lower it down without shortening the side body, and then inhale, pull it up. Last time, exhale, lower it down. Inhale, pull it up. And then exhale, open, bend, stretch, three-legged dog. And once you're there, if you want to circle your right knee, go ahead. If you want to just stay still and kind of turn everything open, you can do that too. Good. And then straighten your right leg all the way out and set that leg all the way down. Okay, second side. Step your left foot all the way through. Spin your right heel flat. Walk yourself a quarter turn to the right. Okay, turn your toes in, bring your hands to your hips, and inhale, stand yourself all the way up. Okay, feet parallel. This time you're gonna grab your big toes. So Prasarita D, inhale, chest up. Janice is doing it already. Exhale, fold forward, just straight in. Grab your big toes. Inhale, chest wide and lengthen. And then exhale, fold at your hips and draw your elbows out to the sides. Okay, so here you have the toes, and you can use them as leverage. If you pull up on them and push them down at the same time, your shoulders will lift away from your ears, and the crown of your head will drive a little further down. And then you can see with both of them, their spines are really long and even, just like as if they were standing. It's all a fold at the hip crease, and you're going to need that for this arm balance. So if it means coming up a lot higher to accomplish that, then do that. Good. And then inhale, pull your chest forward and look up. Exhale, hands to your hips. And inhale, stand yourself all the way up. And that same thing on the second side. So turn your heels in and your toes out, legs pretty wide. And then inhale, chest up. Exhale, fold square to the side of your mat, hands under your shoulders. And keep breathing once you land there. Right leg's gonna stay like this. Bend your left knee and send it over the center of your foot. So you're pressing it open, you're engaging your glute muscle to do that. Right. And then you can either stay here the whole time, or you'll start to spin your inner right thigh up so the toes face the ceiling. Start to drop your tush down. Left heel likes to lift at times, so make sure your stance is wide enough that the heel stays down. You'll either stay like Nicole if you've gone that far, or like Janice, you're going to draw the low belly in, bring the shoulder to the inner knee, hands to prayer, right? And then you push the knee and the arm together. Keep the collarbones pretty wide, leaning your upper back into your chest. You draw the belly in. Good. And then bring your hands down to the mat. Straighten both of your legs. Turn your toes in until your feet are parallel. And then walk yourself quarter turn to the left into a high lunge. Once you're there, move your foot off to the left enough to get your hands to the inside, and then set your entire body up like plank pose. And once you have that, you're going to squeeze the left knee and your arm together, and then it's just the hamstring that's going to work to pull the foot up off of the floor, heel to the sit bone. Good. And then exhale, lower your knee halfway down towards your wrist, and inhale, pull it up, belly in. Exhale, lower it down. Inhale, lift it up. Last time, exhale, lower it down. Inhale, pull it in, and then stretch yourself up and back, three-legged dog, open it, bend it, stretch it again, and if you circled, go for that again. If you didn't, just hold still. And then stretch your left leg back, set it all the way down on the mat, and drop your knees down, and take a rest in child's pose, you two. Okay, so once you've taken a nice rest in child's pose, you're going to reach your arms forward again, and press yourself back into downward facing dog. Okay, this is the last knee to tricep, I promise, but it's totally necessary. All right, so on an inhale, bring yourself forward to plank pose and do all the same things that we've been doing. So you pick your right foot up, bring your right knee to the back of the arm, turn the toes out a little bit. Good, and then once you're there, this time, you're going to keep the knee and the arm together. You're going to start to straighten your right leg, sending the heel towards the front corner of your mat. Once you get it there, spin the inner thigh up towards the ceiling. Try to get the toes to face up. Good. Now from here, you're going to keep the knee and the arm hugging together. Rebend the knee. Come on, come on. Try to draw it as high up towards the shoulder as you can. And then press up and back, three-legged dog again. Open it, bend it, stretch it. It's not easy, but that's the action that you're going to need to do this. I promise. I'm not making it up. Right? And then straighten your right leg all the way out and set it down. Okay, second side. Here we go. Inhale, come forward to plank. Pick your left foot up. Turn the toes out a drop. Bring the knee to the back of your arm. Okay, once you have that, hold it together and start to straighten your left leg out. Send the heel forward, inner thigh touching. Good, good, good. Drag your belly in. Now you're going to undo it. Bend the knee. It's going to be by your elbow. Pull it up towards the outer shoulder by rounding your spine. And then open, bend, stretch. Those are excellent. It's so not easy. The transition between these two is so hard, but it's so fun, and it builds a huge amount of strength doing it. And then stretch your left leg back, set it all the way down. Now you're going to look forward. Don't get too excited because it's not what you think. And hop all the way through and lie down on your backs. It's just a little core work. And then we're going to do the arm balance. Okay, hug your knees in for a second. All right. So we're going to do this two different ways. So one is going to be kind of about your hip flexors in and of themselves, or one of them is going to be about your belly kind of in and of itself. One's going to be about your hip flexors and your belly. It's combining the two things. So first you're going to start with your legs, how you would do crunches. So knees over your hips, shins parallel with the floor. Make Barbie feet just because it's nice. And then interlace your fingers behind your head. Okay, so you're going to be tempted to straighten your legs all the way. I don't want you to straighten them nearly all the way. So draw your belly back and in. Right? On an inhale, straighten your legs a third of the way towards the front of your mat. And then as you exhale, pull your knees back to where they were and crunch your chest up off of the mat, pulling the belly back but keeping your collarbones wide. Good. And then inhale, stretch your legs out, lower your chest down. And then exhale, pull it back in, lift up. Good. Inhale, open. Exhale, belly down, collarbones wide and up. Inhale, stretch it open. Exhale, pull it in. Good. Inhale, stretch. Exhale, pull it in. Last time, inhale, open it up. Exhale, pull it in. Hug your knees into your chest and pause. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is going to be just a little bit of that and a little bit of additional hip flexor work. All right. So last thing before we try the arm balance. Start in the same position that you were. Come on, Janice. Except this time, as you bring your knees in, you're going to widen them to the edges of your shoulders, but keep your big toes touching like crow pose. Right, so take an inhale. As you exhale, split your knees, pull them towards your shoulders, and crunch your chest up off of the floor. Good. And then inhale, bring it back to where you were. Exhale, pull it in. Inhale, stretch it out. I do it with you. Exhale, pull it in. I do like these mini ones. It looks very bizarre. Inhale, open it up. Last three. Exhale, pull it in. Inhale, open it up. Exhale, pull it in. Inhale, open. Last time, exhale, pull it in. Hold, see if you can get the knees to touch your outer arms. Keep your collarbones wide. And hug your knees into your chest. Rock yourself all the way up and over. Take a vinyasa if you'd like. If you want to stay in up dog for a couple of breaths, open your front body back out a little bit. You can do that. But we're going to do some back bending after, so you will have ample opportunity to open your hip flexors. Okay, here we go. So we're going to go towards the arm balance now. So it's not easy. You're just going to stay with where you get to today. It's not a big deal. If you kind of have tighter hips, Nicole's going to demo it with blocks under your hands. All right, so regardless of which part you're going to go to, you're going to look forward and hop your feet around your hands. Okay, now, if you're going to use blocks, you're going to set them up behind your feet, shoulder distance apart. Okay, now bring your hands to your ankles. Bend your knees a lot. Get your chest to move through your inner thighs. Right, you'll wiggle your right shoulder under, then move your right foot in a little. Then wiggle the left shoulder under. Bring your left foot in a little. You'll keep wiggling the 2 points together until you can't go any further, and you're going to try to keep your toes facing straight ahead today. Right, if this is enough, stay. This is plenty. Right, if you're going on, you're going to bring your hands down to the mat, shoulder distance apart. Shift back, bend your elbows until your arms are like chaturanga. Your tush will sit on your elbows, squeeze your thighs and your arms together. Right, now, as you drop your tush, lift your chest. You're going to keep rounding the low back, but widening the collarbones. Your feet will come up off of the mat, and if you're going to straighten your legs, you'll start to straighten your legs. Good. Now you're going to leave your left leg like this, and just like all the knee to tricep, pull it up stuff that we did, you're going to start to bend your right knee. You'll have to shift forward a little, bend your elbows a little, and bring the foot towards crow pose. Drag the right foot in towards the center line of your mat. And now, like you did when you were sucking it from your wrist up to your shoulders, so you can get a little higher. Good, and then straighten the leg out, put your feet on the floor, end up forward folded again, just grab your elbows. Okay, it's not easy, it's so challenging. But this is how you go from Bakasana to crow pose too. Eventually you do it with 2 legs at the same time. And when you do it, it's like that umbrella thing I was saying before. You feel like you're opening an umbrella in your spine up to the ceiling. Okay, ready? Second side. There's 2 of these. All right, so bend your knees enough, do that same thing. Shimmy your shoulders under, wiggle your feet together, keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it. When you can't do it anymore, either stay or plant your hands. Right? Nicole's doing it with blocks. That makes it a lot easier to get your hands on the floor. It gives you a little extra space. Right? And then shift back. Squeeze the legs and the arms together. Low belly does the work. Then straighten, straighten, straighten. Right? And then you've got to think about when you didn't need a tricep with the straight leg, start to drag the left heel back towards your sit bone. Once it gets back and clears, bring it in towards the midline. Good. And then put your foot back on the floor, end up in a forward fold. All right, we're going to see. We might as well. We've built all this way. We might as well try to do both legs at the same time. Okay, so that was 1 leg at a time. So if you've had it and you just want to stay in the forward fold and hang there, you can do that. You can also try to wiggle your shoulders underneath your inner thighs again for something else. But they're going to try to do it with both their feet at the same time, and you can try as well. The worst case scenario is it doesn't happen. That's it. Right? So bend your knees, wiggle under, right, and set yourself up. It's going to go a lot faster this time as you can try to do both legs at the same time. So sit yourself back into Bakasana. Squeeze your legs into your outer arms, straighten them out. Right now, you're not quite as round as you're going to end up, so press your hands down, start to round your back, bend your knees, bring your heels back towards your tush, really press the floor down, see if you can suck the knees up towards your outer shoulders. Nicole, those were awesome. And then you can step back or take a vinyasa, jump through it. Those were absolutely fantastic. So not easy, so hard. Drop down in child's pose and rest for a second. Right, and then Nicole's going to share her block with Janice. So give Janice one of the blocks. Right, so we're going to release our hip flexors from this. That was a lot of hip stuff. Right. But take a few breaths first just to rest. So these ladies are teachers, and they've been doing this for a long time. And to learn how to do that takes forever. But it is so much core strength, and it's so empowering when you do finally do it. But the process of learning is really fun, too. It's hard work, and you should be really proud for trying it. It's just a process of trying. That's it. You just try over and over. All right, here we go. So from here, you're just going to roll up, lie down on your back. Make it that easy. Okay, so you have a block. I'm not going to do active back bends today necessarily because that was just a lot of rounding. But you're going to lift yourself up into a supported bridge. Now, if you kind of have a sensitive back or anything and you just want to do this much lower, you can set it up pretty low. If you don't, you're going to set it up the tall way eventually. But we're going to take a few breaths wherever you've ended up to start. And then your arms can just be wide. We're just opening our bodies in the opposite direction slowly that we spent the entire class in. So let your breath be a lot softer and smoother now than it probably was a second ago when you were trying that. All right, if you can lift your hips up higher and put the block a notch higher, do that. It'll have to be on the tallest height in order to do what we're going to do next. Right. And then once you have it up the tall height, you're going to bend your right knee, pick the foot up off the floor a little bit to do that. Bend the knee, grab your right foot with your right hand, the top of it, point your right toes, and then you're going to curl your right toes under and bring the top of the foot to the mat. So the other way, Nicole. Grab it. There you go. Bingo. I did this in class the other day and nobody could see and it was awry. It was just, everything went awry and I told them they were never doing it again. But look, they did it.
Is this supposed to come down?
What?
By me?
No, it's just supposed to stretch your quad. It's like doing that hand to ankle thing. So really all you're looking for here is a stretch in the front of your thigh and perhaps in your hip flexor. If you can't get the toes under far enough or this hurts your low back, you're just going to stay in supported bridge. It's not really worth it. If your toes or the arch of your foot is cramping, I can't help you with that. That's one of those like drink more water or eat a banana kind of things. And then you'll undo your right leg and you'll do your left leg. So pick the foot up, grab the top of it, curl the toes under, and set the top of your foot on the floor. And the further you take the top of your foot towards your shoulder, the deeper the stretch will get into your quad and your psoas. And again, if it's in your lower back, especially your SI joints, which are between the sides of your pelvis, you're going to not do this. You'll just stay in bridge. And then lift that foot up and put it back on the floor. Right. Then it's up to you. You can stay here in this supported bridge, or we can do one bridge pose, the full thing. So lower yourself off the blocks. They're going to do it. Set your block off to the side. Huh? Because they love me. All right. Push your feet down, and you're going to inhale, lift your hips up away from the floor. Wiggle your shoulders under your body and interlace your fingers. Right. And then use your arms from your wrists through your shoulder head to press your upper back into your chest, widening. Right, so you're really undoing all of the stuff that you did on a mild level. It'll leave you in balance when you get up from Shavasana. Nicole, your feet are a little wide. Yeah, your hips are not nearly that wide, dear. Just like tiny. And separate your arms apart, lower yourself all the way down. All right, and then hug your knees into your chest. And I like it when we do things that we did at the beginning just to explore. So happy baby, grab the edges of your feet, and then this time you can do it however you want. You want to do the one where we are flattening your low back into the mat like you were at the beginning, you can do that, or you can just round your back and pull your knees down as far as you can. It doesn't really matter at all. And then the hard work in all the standing poses and all the prep and the arm balance, the hard work is doing the poses, is staying with your breath and working that hard. And you're balancing it with the softness of the breath, the softness of some part of your body, maybe just your face at times. But here at the end, it's like, well, these are all pretty soft. What do I do? Where's the work? Where's the balance? And that's in holding still in your body, which is not easy in these. It's easy to fidget. And then finding something to occupy your mind. You don't have as much work to do, so you have to hold it on your breath or hold it on a sensation in your hips or your hamstrings and just pay attention to that. And hug your knees into your chest. And you rock yourself all the way up to seated and extend your legs out in front of you into Dandasana. Right, so we did a lot of forward folding in this. So if you want to do a more passive one, you can do your feet a little wider than your hips. But if you feel good after doing all the forward folding, feet all the way together. And then sit up really tall, reach your arms up. And then it's the hip flexors that are going to pull your pelvis forward. So use them and fold. Keep your spine as long as possible. You can grab the outer edges of your feet, your calves. And then you work your upper back, but you can relax your neck, let your eyes close. And then again, you're finding something to occupy you in your mind. And I like to think of my breath as a movie at times that's really captivating and holds my attention. I look at all the sounds that it makes, all the sensations, and I try to hold my attention on that, like it was just this really beautiful, epic movie. And inhale, sit yourself all the way up. So you have a couple choices. You can take Sukhasana at the front of your mat, cross legs and fold. You can do double pigeon at the front of your mat. Right, so if you have knee issues, you'll just do Sukhasana, not just, it's a beautiful forward fold. But if you can do double pigeon, ankle over knee, knee over ankle with flexed ankles, so there's no bowing on the insides of them, and then fold forward. You can do your arms forward. You can put your hands under your forehead or even a block under your forehead, if seeing as you have one. And then just rest. So you're resting your body by holding it still. And you're resting your mind by, again, watching your breath as if it was a movie or paying attention to how your hips feel. And then bring yourself all the way up and switch legs. And then right away, you have to do the movement to switch legs, but then get still again in your physical body. And then the way that you give your mind rest is by allowing it to hold as steady as possible on something we've talked about, breath or body. And it's not easy, it wanders. Your attention and your ability to concentrate will wax and wane, and that's okay. Just like it's okay to take a break in child's pose. You don't get angry about it. You just notice when you've lost concentration and come back and restart. And you come out of this side, sit yourself all the way up and lie down on your back, set up for Shavasana. So extend your legs out in front of you, and if you have plenty of space, you can spread yourself out as wide as you like, just so you feel very strongly anchored to the floor. And it shouldn't feel like you have to use any muscular effort to hold your legs like they are, or your arms. And if it does for your arms, if it's hard to turn your palms up, lift your chest up, move your shoulders under your body, down away from your ears, and set yourself back down. It's important to set this up with the same detail that you do in all the poses that come before it. It's your place of final rest. It seems like it's just going to be all rest, all relaxation, but it's not. It is in your body, but it's not necessarily in your mind. It's really a lot of work, and your mind will tell you your body to fidget, and you're going to tell it not to, because you definitely can control that. And then your mind has to have something to do, so you're going to come back to your breathing. We're going to take 3 breaths to close like we opened. So you'll take an inhale through your nose, and you're going to pay attention for yourself to all the sensations, the sounds, as you pull it up into the top of your chest. And then you'll let it captivate you again as you open your mouth and exhale it out. Just feel it, hear it, and then do that again. Hold your mind on that. Take a big breath in, feel what it feels like. And then open your mouth, exhale it out, pay attention. And then do that one more time. Big, long breath in. And then open your mouth, long exhale out. And then you're going to continue with paying attention to your own breath. You'll hold your body still and find some sort of portion of the breath that's going to occupy your mind. And it could be just watching how it changes its rhythm as it goes back to its normal pattern. Or it could be the sound it makes, or the feeling it gives you. It could be all of those things, but you're trying to concentrate on it. And again, if you wander, you wander. If you don't, you don't. You come back time and time again. And beyond that, you're going to just rest. Shavasana. You could stay here as long as you like. And if you're moving on with us, then I'm just going to stay still in your physical body. And that little bit of quiet that comes from lying Shavasana and from a really strong practice, it's always there. It's just really hard to see. So if you found it, and try to hold on to it as you add layers of movement. And that'll first be just breathing deeper again. And so beyond that quiet space that exists inside of you, everything else is just movement. And it's just layer upon layer. So one was now the breathing. Now you're going to add movement in your body. Move your fingers and toes. And try to hold your attention on the movement of your body and your breathing. And then you'll make bigger and bigger movements, stretching your arms back if you like, bending your knees and putting your feet on the floor. And then you'll make your way off to your right and then eventually up to a comfortable seat at the front of your mat. And keep your eyes closed. Put your hands on your knees, sit up nice and tall. And so you've moved your body, you've moved your breath, and trying to hold on to that little quiet. And eventually your mind's going to start to move again as well. Again, it's just movement. That's all those things are. And you're just trying to separate yourself away from them a little bit. Give yourself a big, big pat on the back for working really hard to accomplish those things by doing some really challenging poses. And join your hands together in front of your heart. Take a final inhale in to lift up. And exhale to bow your chin down towards your hands. And then lift your head and open your eyes. Namaste.